We didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
We are the kid that's like completely oblivious to anything going on, like except in his own world, and then he sees the neighbor's kid bringing like a new goddamn Cannondale mountain bike out into the circle, the cul-de-sac, and he's like completely uninterested in bikes, but at that very moment he's like, I want a fucking Cannondale 8-speed or Schwinn Trek mountain bike right the fuck now. That's what it was like. The Russians did it, and we're like, how do we move the holes on golf courses? And then it all of a sudden became like, oh, we got to get to the moon. We got to go to the moon.
God.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Deplorables with Attitude. I'm your host, BenBen. I'm here with the lovely Sara.
Hello.
I really do feel, though, that like some of the moon stuff, like the radiation belt, what's it called? Yeah, those the film never would have made it. So either we did go to the moon, but the film didn't make it, so we had Stanley Kubrick do it in a studio. Yeah. Whatever. Anything going on in the news about any more school shootings? I really haven't been paying attention. I do feel like if I miss one of the school shootings and I don't talk about it, that people will think that's inconsiderate. It's just, I got stuff going on. Yeah. Just don't, like
piling up.
Like I saw a bunch of cops in the neighborhood plow into someone's house the other day with like one of those metal things in the door.
Really?
That was it was like a drug
neighborhood.
Thing. It was like the Sonoma cartel or something.
Right.
Like how many houses they have on the border, like this neighborhood, probably 5 in the next 15 miles. You'd have to say, right? There's like at least one cartel member within 15 square miles of here. So what I saw with my own eyes, with this older black woman, like being like after the fact, they go in there, the guy wasn't there, whatever, they didn't find what they wanted, but it was like a drug warrant. Mm-hmm. Like all these guys with guns and like the masks on, and they mentioned drugs and like blah 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 blah. It was like a drug trafficking warrant for someone that wasn't there, and then like the grandma, the old black woman, like this is having to be held by like one of the cops to be like brought back into the house because she was shaken by the whole thing, and it was just like,
God.
Yeah, the door is like just broken, so they don't have a door now. I'm like, who pays for the door? Yeah. Wouldn't it be interesting if it was like a drug cartel related incident that the door is replaced by the cartel, and then the cops like see it, drive by one day, and like, wait, that's a really nice door, and they break it down again because they're pissed off, and they're like, that's a cartel door. It's like, that's oak. That's redwood oak. Like look at those engravings, and like in the bottom right hand corner, it's like courtesy of Sinaloa, and it's like I don't know, man.
That's hilarious.
I don't mind the drug trafficking if it's like cocaine, but the problem is they do all the other bad stuff. I really think cocaine should be legal, like coffee, cocaine.
Isn't California just pledged to get cocaine and pledged? California just
pledged like a cocaine like walkathon.
No, they just
you sponsor me for 15 miles. I get a whole kilo.
No, they just
like a middle school gets a kilo instead of Ritalin. They just are all rubbing their gums at recess.
MDMA and cocaine being legalized.
You mean for therapeutic purposes?
Check it out. I just read it like last week.
Cocaine being legalized in California?
I think maybe it was MDMA.
Yeah, MDMA, I could see that for therapeutic purposes for antidepressants. They've talked about that in different states. Ketamine's been used for a while for that end. You can get ketamine online. If ladies and gentlemen of the show, friends and family, patrons, if you want to go into a K-hole and you haven't been on one, go to like mindbloom.com, sponsor of the show. No, I'm just kidding. They're not, but they should be. And we would like to let you know that there's like places like that online where you can get like real hardcore drugs. I mean, like drugs that will like, you will live under a bridge eventually if you abuse them. that can happen online. That's what's happening with the health industry. It's like Tesla did this right, because Tesla's like, you don't need to have dealerships, except for the states where they mandatorily, like for the sake of competition purposes, force them to have dealerships. We just like send you your car. No one walks into a car dealership and like does that shit anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, most people that get like their BMW and Mercedes, like whatever, leased, it's sent to them. They know what it is. You know, they get the deal, right?
Yeah.
Tesla, it's like we got like 3 cars. They're always the same. You don't really need to like test drive it. It's an electric car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think. What was I saying? What was the point of that?
I have no idea.
Why did I mention about the
from,
dealerships?
Like MDMA to like.
Yeah, no. So they're saying
BMW.
like, well, what the doctor is just online. There's no doctor's office. There's no lease liability. There's no infrastructure cost. There's no nurses. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like you're talking to someone on the internet. They don't have to pay for gas to get to the work. They don't have to do shit. You don't know who they are. They might even be like, you could have like one doctor. A lot of people did this for all the pill farms in Florida back in the day. You had a doctor that would like sponsor a wellness clinic where you'd get all your opiates for your fake back problems. And you're like, you know, you're some asshole who's like doctor shopping. You get like 500 oxys in a safe in like West Palm Beach, Florida. You would like see a nurse. The doctor gets 30% off the top for all the profits of this like spa.
Yeah.
They sometimes like look at your X-ray that shows, oh look, I see that like that blur, and it's just because you moved during the X-ray. That's probably a tumor pressing. You need this oxy. Here you go. Here's a script. But yeah, like that's what they do. Like you don't need all this expenditure and all these like operating costs, and it's kind of like grotesque in a sense because the quality of care is really becoming like LASIK surgery, which you would think wouldn't be such a like issue in terms of quality of care because you're taking a laser to someone's fucking eyeball. But like LASIK surgery is like, it's like a fucking McDonald's. You just drive through. People say, oh, what do you do? Well, I'm going to get my eyes done during lunch and then go back to work. What are you, insane? It's a laser. And people do it, like I said, you do both at once. What if they don't work? You go blind in both eyes? Do one, see how that works out. So then if you're fucked for life, at least you have the other eye.
I wonder how often that happens. Like what?
They're going to tell you?
There's some like vendetta. Well, yeah. Do they make you sign something?
You know, I've heard.
Undisclosure.
I've heard one of the things about like, because I was thinking about testosterone replacement therapy, which brings me to like the first topic of today. This weirdo at the gym, is does endogenous testosterone being raised cause estrogen and aromatization? It's like if you could naturally raise your testosterone without like an exogenous like pill or spray or cream or injectable, would you get more estrogen? Would estrogen be aromatized from that excess? Would your body handle it better? The reason I'm saying that is I've been thinking about it, and I don't know. I'm gonna get blood work done next month and see where I am. And my concern is like weird things that online you don't really see. Like they don't want you to. So if you think of like a software company that does like, or Netflix that you pay a bill to every month and you don't even realize it, it's such a small amount of money, but in summation for the year, it's like $150, right?
Yeah.
You're addicted to it for life, right? It's like you have to see Netflix because your friends saw Netflix and they saw that show. In order to have a conversation at dinner, you need to have watched that show, which means you need the subscription. It becomes incestuous. It's almost like a cult in a way.
Yeah.
That's $12 a month, and that you're like fully aware of. But you're like, it's not a serious cult. It's not like what was that with CV? That weird California guy who like lied about being a genius and being like an expert pianist, but really he's just like a average Joe fucking all these girls. Like, you guys have sex and I'll film.
Oh, was that at the
or just like basic, you know,
the
like
crazy guy at the school whose daughter went and he like infiltrated her like house?
No, that's another one though.
He
was sentenced to like life in jail or something. Ray.
He did multiple things though. Like
that guy was. That was one of the best stories. It was in
everybody.
the cut in New York. The Ray. Oh, what was his name? Ray. Hold on, I got it.
He fucked like men, women, and then like had them give him money. It was fucked up. It was very fucked up.
Yeah, he like pimped out like one of his daughters. He convinced a girl at Sarah Lawrence to like drop out and become a prostitute. He's like that's like amazing. Like wealthy parents, doctors, you know, your parents like that. Oh, you know what you do? You know what I need? And then not only that, become a prostitute, but then give me all the money.
I feel
how do you do that? And he's not even Brad Pitt. He's this old weird guy.
I know that was
Sarah Lawrence.
How is it that? So I'm sort of sidetracked. Rent in San Antonio is a fourth of what it is here.
What?
In San Antonio, I could go there and probably save money with driving 2 hours into Austin.
You do San Marcos or something in the middle.
Yeah, but because of the school, they still like jack up because people need to live there.
Have you looked at San Marcos? UT. Have you looked at like Pflugerville?
Well, UT keeps the prices up because they know they'll keep
East
having
Austin?
people come back. And my point is, I'm looking right now and I'm like, a 2-bedroom is like $630. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's insane. It's like, could I just save money? Go there, go to school there, and just like drive into town.
Do you know
for
what the problem
gigs.
with like the saving money thing is that you people think I'm gonna move to this place, it's cheaper, but your opportunities are down. Like people like think, oh, why would you go to New York City? Because it's so expensive. But the opportunity to make it not expensive at a higher standard of living is there for you. If you go somewhere else that's cheap, the money isn't there for you
I know.
to grow.
I thought about this in like New York. I'm like, so San Antonio must be like the Boston of like, right? Would it be
area?
Boston?
Well, I like Boston. I actually really like Boston.
Well, some people really like San Antonio, but it's just fucking
Boston,
crazy.
Like MIT, Harvard, you know, you got like Cambridge area, Cambridge, Mass. I really like it. There's this one area where you could get like, I don't know, some soup.
There's a 3-bedroom house for $900 a month. I looked at a place where I would a studio here is like $1,200, which I know that's not like without. It's just crazy. I'm like, how does
find an area of Austin that's not gentrified if you can and move there?
I guess I'll have Bubby to protect me, but no, everybody's like,
yeah, that's right. Sarah does not walk the dog at night because she's afraid of being mugged.
Yeah, in a neighborhood where you just said they like rammed in the door.
Yeah, but that was like a few streets over. In our in this immediate neighborhood, there's like
block?
There's Beto signs on people's like
Andrew, it's
houses.
Like it's
Beto.
Sort of like the demographic of Arizona when I lived there. It's like block by block. So one stretch is good, the very next stretch is like, yeah.
But they're not committing crime where they live. These people are selling drugs to people outside the area. Rule of drug dealing: you do not eat where you shit or shit where you eat.
Talk to the neighbor guy about that.
The guy at the gym, the testosterone thing today.
Yeah, what happened with that? I
decided to add a second day of squats just in my normal regime because I'm concerned about TRT in my hair. That I was mentioning before, and I got off topic on random shit about drug dealing, is that no one online talks about that. Like, they talk about steroids and hair loss, but no one talks about TRT and hair loss.
Yeah.
Like the possibility of you losing your hair or it activating genes that you wouldn't normally activate until later on in life, which would precede the hair loss. Now, my hair, from a hair loss perspective, isn't really in that realm. What it's in is this weird, like very thin, like it can be thicker or thinner, but it's certainly not like a Spaniard or Fabio or something like that. So my concern is that
it looks very like Kevin McAllister, your colic is hilarious.
Well, Kevin like Macaulay Culkin.
It's very playful in this stage.
It doesn't. My concern about my hair is not advertised online for TRT.
Yeah.
So like exogenous testosterone apparently has more of an effect on aromatization of estrogen, raising DHT, which in and of itself does not affect hair. In my opinion, it affects the telogen anagen phase of the hair cycle. But if you have fibrosis, if you have lack of circulation, if you don't do detumescence therapy or like massage your scalp, you're more prone to have DHT as you get older because of fibrosis and what you eat and everything. You've lived because DHT is higher and kids are 16, 17 years old. It's trapped and it kills the hair follicle. DHT has been known to be toxic to hair follicles in excess amounts. So if your cycle is off and the DHT exposure is higher, which is more likely with higher levels, that's what kills your hair follicles and the anagen level. And this is testosterone and androgens in general, because there's been studies done of hair loss with people that have drugs that do not affect the 5-AR inhibition, DHT references of dihydrotestosterone and variances thereof. They get hair loss too. Just so I don't know all the drugs. Masteron maybe isn't a DHT. Can't remember all the steroids. But so anyway, this guy is clocking me in the gym the whole time I'm there. I'm lifting decline bench press 245. Shoulder press, next exercise, dumbbells 70 to 90 seated. And then I decide to do this thing to improve my testosterone naturally, which someone suggested, which is high rep squats, which will encourage you to start lifting heavier weight on your regular squats, create a like a spike in your nervous system to make it encourage it to feel like it's accepting of the stress of bending down more, right? To do your big squats and leg day.
Yeah.
And then it's supposed to activate like something about like a higher release of testosterone just by like the reps. And getting your reps up in general with the heavy weight to like a 5 to 8 area will be good.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to do really lightweight squats to try to get my body into the regime. And because I haven't done this before, doing like really heavy frequency squats. So I did reps between 10 and 20, six sets with weight going from like a 25 pound, I don't even know what this is, 95 pounds to 145. That was my range on the squats. And normally I squat, somewhere between like, I don't know, 185, I guess is it what it is, to 315, something in that realm. So that's kind of like where I am. And this guy saw me with these really light weight, interrupted my workout, and started coaching me and telling me these things like immediately. He's like, you didn't even introduce himself. He's like, you got to keep your back. You got to keep your when you're going down. This kid's like 21 years old. He's like 5'7".
Yeah.
I'm the biggest person there. I'm 6 foot. Just for reference, people, I'm 6'6", 225 pounds. Like, and this guy is like 5'7", comes over and starts chatting me up about what I'm doing wrong without even introducing himself. Just like bro science, whatever. You see this in the gym sometimes. Like the guy's like, if you want to like improve that, you should do is like blah, 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 blah. No one's ever done this to me before. No one's ever like, I think, especially someone who like clearly doesn't look as good as I do. Yeah. So it's very strange. And he proceeds to like talk about like, well, how much do you normally, because I explained, well, actually I'm just being nice. I'm like, I'm not trying to say, dude, fuck off. I'm just like, well, normally I do a lot more, but I'm trying something new. This isn't my leg day. Yeah. As you've seen, because I saw you looking at me constantly. I felt like he was like looking, and then once I did the legs and he saw the weight, then he felt like he had an in to talk to me, because he's like, that amount of weight doesn't make any sense. Like he's been lifting way too much in the other stuff. This is weird. I gotta go talk to this guy. He clearly needs help. And so he came over, and I'm like, well, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm thinking about TRT therapy because I'm getting older and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, you don't need that. It's just like mind over matter. like a strong mind. I'm like, well, a mind is just a makeup of chemicals and like different levels of serotonin, dopamine, etc. So he's like, yeah, but like your soul. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, this guy's like dead serious, straight on talking to me. And I'm like, so he goes through this thing about like his friend doing hack squats, and like he knows all these older people that aren't on anything, as if they know they're going to tell this crazy person like what they're doing. Like, no, people who are on TRT generally don't say they're on steroids. It's not considered that. It's like it's a therapeutic replacement of testosterone for someone in an optimal range at a lower age.
Okay.
So they don't consider it like cheating or whatever, or steroids.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I know they don't do anything because they said they didn't do anything. I'm like, this guy does no common sense in terms of the difference of omission versus commission, right? He's just like,
right.
So whatever. I'm like, okay. Then I start I don't know, I start doing something else and like completely unrelated to legs after that. Like I think I finished my flies for my chest because I wanted to break up the chest stuff just so I don't like ruin the shoulder workout or whatever, feel overwhelmed. And he stops me again and he's like, what does he say? He's like, he says like every time you walk in, he's talking like about the TRT. If every time you walk in the gym, like if I didn't go to the gym for 30 days and came into the gym and all of a sudden I'm lifting like, I'm lifting like, I didn't see you and you started lifting like twice as much as me, it would like discourage me from like lifting. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's like,
you're bad for gym business.
He's like, well, if you start doing TRT and then all of a sudden you're lifting way more, it'll like make me feel bad. And I'm like, so you're saying that if I start taking testosterone and lift even more than I do, which is more than 99.9% of the people in the gym every single day, you're saying that it's going to discourage you because it's going to be like, oh, well, I can't ever do that, so I might as well just quit. You or anyone else, and I'm supposed to think about that when I'm focused on my workout, like as if like me
being like, I went to go see Adele sing, and I'm done. I retire from singing.
Right, like so it's like I can never get there. It's like, or like, oh, I'm going to the tennis court and like Roger Federer's there, and I'm like, great, thanks a lot. I might as well just not even try. It's like, well, like, what are you talking about? So weird. And so the final thing is, this is the creep. This is where it gets so weird. He's clocking me. Okay, this guy is constantly trying to ingratiate. I'm wearing headphones, so it's harder to do that, to ingratiate yourself in conversation. He's trying to find his ends throughout my entire workout. I like to like take breaks and look outside. It's all floor to ceiling windows. Is a really nice place.
Yeah.
Look at the mountains, whatever. And I go by the door glass, and then he walks by. He's like, "Oh, you're leaving?" I'm like, "No, I'm just like to take a break and look out, just chill." He's like, "Oh, well, you ever think about like, you ever want to do squats with me?" And I'm like, "I don't. What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, like I could show you my workout and we could do it together and like, I can walk you through it." I'm like, I haven't really done a personal trainer in like 20 years. I kind of, I'm okay. It's like, I would, if I committed to it, I would just like not show up 30% of the time, maybe more. And I don't want to do that too. He's like, "Oh no, man. Like you gotta commit yourself." He's like talking to me as if I don't know what it's like talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger or someone. Like it's crazy, my physique compared to this person's, but that's not, forget that. That's
that sounds like
he hasn't mentioned what he wants. Like, it's not clear. Do you want me to pay you money? Do you want to be friends?
I was gonna say it kind of sounds an awfully lot like an Asperger move, like somebody who's into it and like very.
He was skipping. He was listening to music and skipping and doing like he's listening to like hip hop or something, and he's like getting into his groove as if no one else can see him in public. Like that was his, so he's like, it's like that guy. He's on Asperger's, and he's like said he's visiting for the summer, and he also mentions like, well, you live in this area, so you must have like a really nice house or something. Like, are you gonna rob me? Like, what? I just don't know what he wants. So this is where it gets. This is the weirdest part of the whole thing, and it has nothing to do with TRT at this point. He leaves. I know he left because I felt relief wash over me. Like, okay, enough of that. He gets into his car. I see that because it was near my car. I want to make sure that he's not like, I don't know, whatever. He's in his car, like writing my license plate down or like putting a tracker underneath my car. This is 15 minutes later. I decide to leave because I want to go get food and then do the podcast and like get going on my other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I get out to my car. He like gets out of his car and like, hey man, I'm like, are you going to what? You're leaving for the day? I'm like, oh my God, is there a private detective that someone's hired to figure out whether like I'm their child, like their daughter's child's like father or something that I'm not aware of? Like some rich guy I've like bopped his daughter and he's like, who's the father? The baby's really tall. I'm like, oh shit. No, this guy like sat in his car for 15 minutes, knew that I drove a Range Rover, knew that where my car, like he knew. That's what was so weird. He like guessed it. I'm like, what is dude? Like at that point, I'm like, yep, I'm going home. I gotta get to the store and all this stuff. Well, if you ever like want to like train, I'm like, he wants my number. Like, he says, can I get your number? I'm like, I really will never ever like, do this with you, man. I gotta go. I was kind of like just like letting him know like affirmatively, I'm like, this is weird. And without actually saying it. And he's like, oh, okay, man. All right, well, I'll see you around. I'm like, yep, that will probably happen based on this. And I just got in the car and left. That was the day. And I drove like a supercharged, right? Batted it like, boom, out of there. Yeah. And I like made sure that his like, piece of shit Toyota did not get close to my Range Rover.
So there are certain aspects of you that remind me of my brother, who's in business, doing very well.
People say that I remind them of Homelander from The Boys.
Well, my brother is this like big, intimidating, but also goofball, very funny. There was one time that we went through a KFC drive-through on the way to my sister's graduation from law school.
Yeah,
and he was driving me because I think I was still in high school. Yeah, she's several years older. So we go through this drive-through, and my brother, there's some like scrawny kid who's like, thank you, sir. Here you go. Would you like a spork? And my brother's like, yes. And being like really stoic and weird. And I'm like, what is he doing? And the whole time he's like intimidating this poor kid. And at the end of it, the kid like passes a spork out the window. My brother grabs it and then goes, fuck your mother, and peels out. Like the kid was just like, but like it's moments like when people peel out in the best ways like that and he's awkward, it's my favorite. It reminds me of my brother saying fuck your mother, and just in perfect timing from the taking of the spork to like peeling out. And the kid's face was like,
That is funny. I didn't get any comic relief in this interaction, though. This person didn't give it to me.
I hope you do again. I hope he comes back.
He's like, what's her name in Misery that chains me to like the bed?
Kathy.
Kathy. What's her name?
Bates.
Kathy Bates. Yeah, asked me to like include her in my new book. It's like, will you write me as like, will you make me like a janitor in Boston, but also the smartest person in the world, and I solve all these equations, and I'm just like the smartest guy, and all my friends work construction, but they all tell their friends, you got to meet my friend, he's wicked smart. And that's like smart. The book. Can you call it Good Will Hunting too? Because I'm like, that's already been done. He's like, I don't think so. Stupid.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. A woman was awarded $5.2 million for receiving a sexually transmitted disease in a company car during car sex. GEICO paid this woman $5.2 million for getting HPV, human papillomavirus, which 1 in 3 people have, from a guy that works at GEICO in a GEICO company car. She alleged the sexual partner negligently caused or contributed the cause to be infected with HPV by not taking proper precautions. I mean, you can get HPV even with a condom, but okay. And neglecting to inform and or disclose his diagnosis. According to court documents, and this is, I think you can get HPV without a condom. Maybe you can't. Whatever. All right, so maybe I'm wrong on that. Sorry about that.
God, you're like one of those conservatives when they were asked all these questions about abortions and vaginas, and they're like, "Oh, the uterus is shaped like a horse snout, right?"
A girl at Georgetown University once said that she thought I gave her like an STD,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Can I have like can you buy me a BlackBerry?" And I just bought her a phone. And I'm like, I think this is my first entry into like prostitution. Like by BlackBerry. I'm like, and then she turned out, oh, it was false alarm. I'm like, okay. She got tested. I'm like, all right, good. So I don't have to tell people I'm diseased. How's the BlackBerry? It's excellent. Do you know the name of the company is RIM? Just kidding. But yeah. So this is what's interesting about the story with GEICO. The idea that you would know the company's insurance policy, but never mind that it's a insurance company whose insurance policy relating to their company cars, and you know the ins and outs of the liability, is very odd to me. Back when Uber started, every incident of a driver accident or driver caused accident with an Uber driver where the passenger's injured or otherwise, they settled every single one. It was like their mode of operation was because they wanted to go public to just quietly pay these people off.
Yeah.
So they had this huge tranche of money to just pay people, which made me question, why don't you just become a driver, have 6 months of good history, have your best friend in the car, and set up an accident, and then he gets $1 million and you split it. It's like the woman sues GEICO, doesn't sue the guy, knows to sue GEICO, knows it's a company car. How does she come up with all this so quickly? Why would you assume that? Do you know what I mean? It's like a lot of information. This guy was helping you. There's no way the guy didn't tell her, don't sue me. I work for GEICO. We fucked in the company car. I know insurance because I work for a fucking insurance company, and their car liability thing is covered for sexually transmitted diseases. We can sue them and make lots of money, but you have to sue them, and I'll get fired, but that's okay because we'll have $5.2 million. I guarantee you the guy was accosted by this woman who he works for the insurance company, knows insurance contracts, and was like, oh yeah, we got them. I bet it was probably a setup. He probably knew about the Uber thing and put two and two together. I swear this is too on the nose. GEICO appealed, and then the appeals court affirmed the lower court's decision. They got the money. It's crazy.
We should do this with me where I'll get some sort of a car and then claim, what can I claim? Monkeypox.
Yeah.
I'll say there's 2 bisexuals in here with me. And one of them who's maybe...
Can you sue the gay pride parade? I want to sue...
I'm already
Brian
a little
Singer
bit
for getting monkeypox
sensitive
at Pride.
skin will just I'll use Tide soap and get a rash, and then we can go from there.
God, can you imagine if there was
we shouldn't have even said it out loud.
A whole monkeypox pandemic at Pride, and they're the whole standard of reporting was it's homophobic to mention it, so no one does, but all these people are really sick at all the prides and have weird lesions on their skin, and no one can say, is that Kaposi sarcoma from AIDS? No, it's monkeypox. Oh phew, okay, you wanna fuck? Yeah. And this keep that's the whole thing that's going on, but no one can say anything because they can't report on it because it's homophobic. And Anderson Cooper's there's no problem, there's nothing going on. And then I don't know.
Jeez.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
The idea of celebrating how you choose to have sex, is so superficial to who you are as a person. I understand Stonewall, get it, wonderful, but to celebrate how you have sex, I once was accosted by a woman at the airport waiting for my plane because I was talking with my girlfriend as a 19-year-old kid, not knowing any better. Oh well, we're gonna get a hotel room, and then maybe I'll blah 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 blah. And this woman like, hey, no one wants to hear about your sexual. I'm like, your sexual, what proclivities here. I'm like, oh, really, woman? Say that to the gay pride parade now, because that's thrown down our fucking like throat for a goddamn month. It's a month. And parades. They're having a ball. But I do think it's interesting. Like, there's these guys who are arrested, this white, according to BuzzFeed, a mob of white supremacists busted near an Idaho pride event. I don't think Idaho would have a lot of pride. It's so like Christian conservative, with the Mormons and all that jazz. Yeah. It's a Mormon hotbed of like, what is it? LCS, LCDS, COVID brain, whatever. It's a conservative place. Dozens of mass members of like a white supremacist group called Patriot Front were arrested on a tip from one person that they looked like they were up to no good. A bunch of guys wearing like masks or something headed towards the gay pride event. They thought that they were gonna riot or something, conspiracy to riot based off of one tip, and they were arrested. Which I'm like, how do you know they weren't gonna peacefully protest? Which is what a fucking gay pride parade kind of is. Yeah. It's a licensed event. Maybe they didn't have a license, but conspiracy to riot, that's fucking insane.
That is. That's a hate crime.
You should be able to be like, say like Black Pride, and then the KKK guy can say like, no, fuck you, right next to each other. That should be the way it is. Both sides. One can be bigoted and like all that and then be offensive. The other can be like, we don't want you like trying to like convert my 5-year-old son into like to Marianne. His name is Mark, and that's what I named. This is Christian name. He don't need no titties. He's fine the way he is. He likes baseball and pussy. And it's like, yeah, there's that. Both sides can say what they want. One can be true, one can be not. One can be scientifically accurate, one can be not. One can say things are lies or manipulations. That's your right. You should be able to say both.
Yeah, that's
I'm not a big gay pride. I think it dilutes the value of like, there's no like real homophobia. If you're homophobic in this day and age, you lose your job, you lose your career. If you have any public image, it's destroyed. No one's outwardly like, fucking faggot. No one does. There's nothing. It's not real. Yeah. But in Saudi Arabia, they are throwing gays off rooftops. But guess what? Live Golf's got Phil Mickelson now. They've got Bryson DeChambeau. The PGA Tour is fucked. The whole idea of the PGA Tour, like losing out to a homophobic entity that throws gay people off rooftops, have like tie their like I don't know, ropes to gay guys' dicks and have them run off like Lippinzon or Stallions or something from Portugal. Maybe they're from Spain. Whatever. That idea that those people are now dominating the PGA Tour, that like BMW for gay pride last year, because I know I talked about this, their whole page for every city in BMW USA had a gay pride thing, but like BMW Saudi Arabia is like not. Like it's a joke. Yeah. It's a corporate joke. And like even gay guys are fully aware. Like if you're a gay record producer in LA and you're a multimillionaire and you have like a deal with like the new like Saudi Harry Styles, you would totally be like, oh, I hate those fucking faggots, because it's about the money and the business. You set it aside. You talk about like the rap music thing. It's like, oh my God, Lloyd Banks is coming out with a new hardcore rap record. It's fucking sick, and he's gonna team up with 50 Cent. And then like, okay, whatever. Maybe Ludacris is gonna do some tracks. So let's go back. Was a guy that was always like doing this, like he's featured on everything. Jermaine Dupri, that motherfucker was on every P Diddy top thing, every the big timers, every like R&B album, like that guy was on everything. I thought that guy might have been like lived in the studio and just like said, hey, raise his hand, can I be on your track? Hey, is it all right if I'm on the Buggy? He bug-eyed, man. He's like the better looking brother of that guy that was always on the Howard Stern show that was really weird looking that died. You know, like what was that guy? Beetlejuice. They called him Beetlejuice. Not to be confused with the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, but like Lori Lightfoot's like cousin. Yeah, Jermaine Dupri. I could see that. That's possible.
He
Not the
sounds
most
like a
handsome
drink
family.
you'd order at the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Can I get a
That
Jermaine
actually is
Dupri?
pretty dope. I would, if I had a bar, I was like, what can I what is that? A Jermaine Dupri? That Sprite. It's like a Shirley Temple, but then there's like 6 shots of Hennessy. Like that is
Somebody
something like that.
should have like drinks that are just all these old, obscure hip hop artists, because it'd be pretty fun.
Can I get a Ghostface Killer? What is that? It's 3 parts creme de menthe, 2 parts whiskey. Yeah, who knows? That'd be funny as hell. It'd be funny too if they're very like formal. I notice whenever I'm at I don't know who saw this happen. Like it's kind of late. You know how like every like famous person that's kind of like multifaceted with their work. It's usually guys who like move from rom-com or like Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds. All these people have like alcohol that they sell now. Aviator gin, whatever the fuck. Dwayne Johnson, I don't even know what it's called. Conor McGregor, I think, like sold his like tequila company for like $800 million, $300 million, something. Everyone at some point got this idea from the first guy that saw all the other companies mentioned in hip hop videos, like Pass Gavassier, 6 shots of Hennessy, you know how we do. And then you're like, someone had the idea, oh my God, every black guy in this neighborhood is buying Hennessy right now at the liquor store on Friday with the check they just got from work. What if we owned Hennessy? Why the fuck are we plugging Hennessy when they don't pay us? What if we owned Hennessy? And then we said, pass the Hennessy. Yeah, pass the Cavassier. What if we were Cavassier? I think there was a rapper named Cavassier too. Like, why they like all of a sudden someone realized that, and then they started making, I'm gonna make my own tequila. It's like, yeah, pass the croc. You know, me and P. Diddy at the bar hitting up the croc shots. That's his croc, right? Mm-hmm. His vodka. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, someone figured that out. And then like, oh, oopsie daisies. There it is. Like it's unbelievable how people were plugging mainly rap. Like, yeah, me and my Ferrari doing what's that Jay-Z lyric? In the Camaro, in the Ferrari, saying, yeah, money ain't a thing. I don't like if it don't bling. Like, what if it was like in like the LaCoutra? He just makes his own fucking car. Like, he becomes Elon Musk. That's the next thing. They just make their own like their own L's, their own like whatever, like lowrider, like they have their own shit. It's like their own fucking car, their own EV. Why not? I don't mean like rappers, but like movie stars, like whatever. Like someone makes their own, like, I don't know, like some superhero that we like what's his name from Iron Man? Like Robert Downey Jr. makes his own Iron Man car and sells it as like the best pickup truck in the country that also converts into like a boat. And like all these like, I don't know, it's surprising people that buy like rednecks and like weird like, you know, like this aquatic thing, and they just like to drink margaritas and like sit out there and get like even more rednecky, like driving into like their lake with their Iron Man car. And like, I didn't really like the last Iron Man. They're like drinking like, no man, that wasn't that good. I hate that he died. I also thought it kind of like weird, like, you know, nuclear reactor he had in his chest. That just didn't seem too realistic. Yeah, but his boat's good. Oh, the boat's the best. Come on, pass me another beer. It's like, oh, you mean this Cavassier? Oh, you're damn right. I love my Cavassier. Yeah. But you know what I don't like? I don't like the blacks. And it's just like, that's what it is. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is crazy. Yeah. Oh, also the people, the cops that arrested the white supremacists in Idaho were really gay looking. Like they had handlebar mustache and like they might as well have been wearing assless chaps. They looked really gay. It looked very staged. I don't know. Could be. But have you followed the January 6th hearings at all?
No. What were those about?
I don't know what January 6th was. Do you know what January 6th was?
I'm sorry. I'm all just trying. I'm getting a message. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I haven't watched it because I don't care. because I watched highlights of the first day, and it was so dramatized and excessive and like not like based in facts. It's like all these like innuendos and presumptions, and I just don't. Almost as if there's a conspiracy theory that the whole thing was to get a bunch of idiots, like the worst group of people, to overthrow Congress, like the worst group that were not in session, like no one was there that was really important. Everyone that was around that area were in ancillary buildings. AOC lied about saying she was almost raped or something, like at a building that no one was at, no one entered, like no one from the riot, you know? Yeah. It's very strange. Like there's no threat really. No one really that important was there. And no offense to the people that died for unnecessary reasons and everything else, but this is not a coup by talented people. We had a Viking Norseman guy who lives in his like parents' basement. He's now in jail, like prison for 3 years. Like that was like one of the leaders of this bizarre posse of people that didn't know each other. But like that's the epitome of the people that were in there. These are not the best and brightest. It sounds like a government psyop to the utmost degree that the head of the Proud Boys, who's been an FBI informant over and over again, has been charged with some weird sedition or is like treasonous act, just got out of jail for something else. There's just something wrong with this. There's been FBI informants involved in that like overthrow of the mayor or whatever person in Wisconsin that threatened her life or something like that. I think it was Wisconsin or Michigan.
I think it was Michigan.
Those people were there on January 6th, and some of those people were FBI agents. It seemed like everyone had like a very clear idea that the people that were in this group could be crazy and we have to keep an eye on them, but they're not this is not an organized group of bright people. Especially taking selfies and smoking pot in Nancy Pelosi's desk that doesn't overthrow the government. It doesn't overthrow democracy. President Trump did not say go to Congress and like this is all nonsense. And he did not actually incite insurrection. The impeachment proceedings proved as much. Like this, so not watching that. I'm never going to talk about it that much. Let it play out, and it just is what it is. It's nonsensical gibberish. There were idiots involved. I don't think these people were like evil. I don't think like the people who went to jail should be in jail, necessarily speaking. Some people violated laws, but trespassing. But people lost their lives unnecessarily. But wasn't like just a mob of largely morons. Like a small percentage of the people that were at the Save America rally or whatever you call it. For the Trump speech, did this and jumped the walls, and some of the cops let them into the building. Yeah. This is what it does. And I just don't think it's that interesting. I think Caitlin Armstrong killing the other woman in her tryst with her handsome cyclist boyfriend, and then leaving the country somehow, I guess with a different passport, is pretty cool. That's an interesting story. The idea that you're having an affair with a man and you're worried that he's going to leave the older woman, to go with the younger girl, which makes sense. This is the way life works. And you're going to be like the third wheel and be fucked. You decide to kill this woman to have him and somehow not go to prison for the rest of your life and not have either of them. And she's been charged with murder because the gun that shot this young girl, other cyclist, and the lover's tryst, this threesome they were having over and over again, was the same gun that was licensed to her, registered to her. And she was last seen at Newark Airport, I think, and with like a disguise with CCTV cameras. And no one knows where she is, at least publicly. You can track your passport, but apparently she got out of there with something else. It's so exciting. I hope that she's like a genius, like a 200 IQ person, like Nev Campbell in The Wild Things, and she like evades law enforcement and confiscates like people's bicycles in like Amsterdam and sends the FBI weird cryptic packages with like individual pieces of like Schwinn and Cannondale bicycles, like pedals and like gears, and that she just like maybe does the thing where she cuts out letters from like magazines. But like the letters she cuts out are from like the FBI quarterly magazine. She just sends it back to them. It's like, come and get me, come and get me. It's like and she'll say stuff like, I just did a 20 miler today. I feel great. Guess where I am? And it's all this like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego shit? Oh my God. Maybe she even like can program, and she sends them like a program where she's Carmen Sandiego, but she's on a bicycle, and she's just like part of like every single level of the game. The goal is to kill this young girl for no apparent reason. That's like looks like a goblin, and that's the young girl she killed in real life, and they never catch her. Like, wouldn't it be cool if in this day and age where like we've flown to foreign countries and broken the law in terms of sovereignty and extradition and taken people back to the United States to be charged, that this woman actually gets like somehow lives in this earth and doesn't go to Mars, and we can't find her ever? That there's very few stories about that in recent time. There's a 1967 robbery. There's something like that. The guy's on the lame. And then we find him 40 years later. Whitey Bulger, this guy, that another person like that, found in Florida off a routine traffic stop 40 years later. Stuff like that. But this, to get away with something like that in this day and age, especially as a woman, without the benefit of testosterone and hyper focus, no offense, but it's true. No one's ever talked about that in terms of why there's a wage gap and women work less hours, but it's true. Testosterone is definitely a benefit. It's on my mind. It's might have been used. Can you get off your fucking phone? Oh my God, get off the phone. I don't turn off the phone.
Sorry.
Turn it off. I
like how it took you this long.
No, shouldn't have to. I thought it was like one message. Turn it the fuck off.
It kept coming through.
Like that asshole, the worst Joe Rogan guest ever, kept looking at his phone, and then Joe was like, I was shocked you didn't just contact the guy and tell him to go fuck himself. I might go tell you to wait for the sun to go down and then have you go for a walk and see how you like that.
Just don't kick me with a gunshot like fierceness.
Tell you to go to the corner store and see what happens in this slightly gentrified neighborhood, but not quite.
Slightly, and that 7-Eleven is one of the. Every time I go there,
that 7-Eleven is not gentrified. It's kind of funny.
So bad.
It's a rough one.
I always wonder how old the
we're
man
we're
who
racist
owns
100%
really
of the time
is.
on the show.
There's a Middle Eastern
Sarah
man
gets his credit because she's part black, so it's okay. But we definitely hate the Mexicans. I'm just kidding. They're actually lovely people.
Yeah.
They're hardworking, very very nice. I would say they're a little like they don't care about dropping their trash. Just like they could like eat a meal and then dump like the plastic like McDonald's and just leave it wherever it is and just walk away. Like they don't like trash bags, like la basura seems like a word appropriated for Americans to understand trash, but there's not a word for trash that's used in ubiquity in the like Spanish community.
I don't know. See, I've been to like more, I would think, I don't know. I think in a more African American ghetto, it's even more trashy. I don't know. I think you're thinking of clutter, like yard clutter and things like that, and like backyards. Yeah, that's a.
But I think I do find that Mexican people tend to have a hard time putting things into a trash can, even though they have a beautiful word, la basura, which is gorgeous. I love saying it. Traer la basura, traer la basura afuera.
How is it when you talk Spanish, you sound like you're 5 feet tall?
I sound like I'm 5 feet
The
tall.
whole command of your voice, you're like, la basura? I don't know.
Because they're all 5 feet tall, and I'm just, that's
you
kind of the way it is.
shrunk your voice for that. You made it fit. Little Lupe. Oh.
What does Javier Bardem sound like? 6'1"?
He sounds like he's fucking 8 feet tall. He's
Really?
got that very rich, slow voice.
I remember him talking to Mark Maron on his podcast, and they talked for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then Mark's like, "Are we recording?" It was really, really funny.
He slows down.
He thought
time.
it was all like the pre, like
Really?
it was like a junket for. Javier did it for his new movie, and Mark just had him on the schedule, and it just like fit right.
Yeah.
And it's like are we recording? You married into it. That's from No Country for Old Men. Or are we recording? It was like 40 minutes into the goddamn thing. The interview was almost done, and he's like, yeah, I guess he did a lot of like maybe some longer. I like Javier Bardem like story. His sister, his mom's like restaurant, and like the way he talks is very. That guy has his voice might be one of the like no homo like the sexiest like
it is.
Yeah, it's so powerful. It's like if that guy had a podcast, he could be like a sex therapist, talk about like geopolitical economics, whatever the fuck, anything, and just be like, well, the gross GDP of people, women would just be like, just like, oh my god, it would just be amazing.
If somebody has a weird tone of voice, it is very true. But for me, being like a singer, I'm very big on like where your register is. So if there was a guy that I was into recently this summer, I told that for like into in a joking way, he was a drummer for one of my friend's bands. He's very well off. He was this Jewish drummer. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to come like fuck your drummer at this show. And my guitar player was like, no, you're not. You're not going to like his voice at all. And I was like, whatever, I'll see for myself. He hits all these check marks for me. So I go to this show and I kid you not, I was like, hey, David, my name is Sarah. And he was like, yeah, hi, my name's David. And I was like, oh, like immediately
like the David Beckham thing. It just ruins it.
Yeah, it was like an old TV shutting off, just boom. I was like, and there it goes. You absolutely can't stand you.
There should be a Family Guy where Peter asks, what's his wife's name? Pam? Peg. No, that's his daughter. What's his wife's name? I don't know. Peter asks his wife, like, is it all right if I go like...
Lois.
Yeah. Hey, Lois, can I go play whatever it is, play golf this weekend? And she's like, no, we have the kids, like, ballet or the soccer on Saturday. And he's like, oh. And then on Saturday, like, they show Saturday on the black screen, and then he just... says like she's like, Pete, are you getting him dressed? Yeah, that's doing that. He just puts in like a DVD of Javier Bardem in a movie, and she's just like, oh, he's like, he puts on his golf outfit and just leaves the house. That would be really, really funny. Yeah, I listened to that interview and I was encapsulated by how amazing this guy's voice was, and yeah, I mean that voice. I mean, he could do anything. He's a good-looking guy, and he could do anything with that voice. Yeah. Anything. Like, he could sell toothpaste. He could... You imagine if he was on Mad Men. I know it doesn't make any sense with, like, the xenophobia of the 1960s, perhaps, being like a Spanish record exec or something, like in Chicago, or Spanish advertising exec in Chicago or New York. But, like, this, like, him in a suit... being really stern and like aggressive and like wanting to get things done. Oh my God. I swear to God, I'm going to bitch slap you. I'm going to do what Amber Heard said happened and make it real. That's what I'm going to do.
The doctor is concerned.
Oh my God. I don't give a fuck if he like said, I got a dick extension for my small penis. You want to try it out? I don't give a fuck what he's saying.
Small penis.
Facebook CEO Sheryl Sandberg is stepping down in his investigation to her use of company resources for her own personal projects. When you're at a like really big company that's successful and you have a job that's not real, like being the CEO of Facebook, you don't know how to code. You have no real reason for being there. This woman like had people work on her own company, lean in, like Facebook workers, which advocates for women in the workplace, as well as writing, again, Facebook workers, writing and promoting her second book, Option B, Facing Adversity, Building Resilience and Finding Joy, which focused on the grieving process following the death of her husband. Then these same workers at Facebook helped plan her wedding to her new husband after the other one died. And like she like had them do that shit. Like as if she wanted to figure out whether like sending PayPal payments to souls in the metaverse would be viable, and she's like, I gotta, work on that shit. It's like, why would you have Facebook workers help you write a book about your dead husband and how hard that was for you, and then also plan your wedding to your new husband at the same time? Same people. It's very like disgusting. It's very like whatever. But like the point I'm making is there's a lot of money in tech that like this woman probably made $18 million a year minimum. If the woman at Twitter that does like the checks and balances, accountability, like progressive, like whatever, sedition, like focusing on like making sure no one's offended by tweets. If that one made $17 million a year, the CEO of Facebook made at least $18 million a year.
Right.
At least $1 million more. Market cap wise and everything else, just fucking for doing nothing, like really nothing. She's like doing press shit, going to like Capitol Hill for hearings, like nothing that cerebral.
Yeah.
That's I think what people will start to find. The beautiful thing that tech has done is kept the shift of like Wall Street's greedy, they're evil, being rich is evil. That tech is not rich. The ability of the tech world, the fact that they control the information facilities, the mediums that we get information from in the digital age, has made it so amazing to me that a guy in a suit that deals with like getting like interest and a percentage off deals and like leveraged buyouts, that guy's still the evil guy, the 1980s Gordon Gekko Wall Street thing in people's mind, but that the nerd wearing like a t-shirt and jeans and like Converses is a good, nice guy that just cares about the environment and lesbian rights.
Yeah.
But he gets $25 million a year. But that's separate. That doesn't matter. Like there's like it's fucking insane that people don't see like like the old Google adage, don't be evil. If there's not some variant of like greed and malice every single day. Yeah. There's fucking hackers that hack into these blockchains and like take some fucking like digital currency, and then they fucking like they'll like send like 20% of it. They'll keep 20% of it and send 80% back. Don't get arrested. No nothing. Yeah. Like the blockchain is so embarrassed that they got their money stolen by some like 12-year-old kid that masturbates incessantly in his like his mother's basement. Yeah. That they let him keep money. Like it's. Sorry, we had to stop the show to take the dog for a walk because he was panting in my face like the time I dated Amber Heard in between Johnny Depp and the last guy. I wouldn't give her enough sex, and she would just like be, please, Ben, please. I'm like, no, you have to want it more.
You know, Amber Heard was sort of like she looked a lot like Kristen Stewart to me, but a blonde, blue-eyed version or green eye, whatever.
I guess Hollywood loves the heavy chin of women, like but Rumor Willis never got any roles, so I don't know. I think Amber Heard has a very heavy chin, and Kirsten Stewart has a very long chin, and together they're very chinned in different ways. But
you're so focused on like that area of somebody.
The chin,
the jaw. Anything. I've never had somebody talk more about a jaw, chin.
Like men in Hollywood with masculine, powerful jaws. It's like that helps them look good on camera. Women with heart-shaped faces are naturally the most attractive. I think women with longer chins or bigger chins tend to, i.e., Cara Delevingne and Elon Musk with Amber Heard in that threesome at Johnny Depp's house, which I think is, if you're gonna have a threesome and chin your husband, you fuck other people at his house. That is just so wrong. It's so disrespectful. But I digress. Most women with bigger chins, my theory, and I've read something, have stronger exposure, longer exposure in utero to testosterone, and they have a higher propensity to cheat. That's my extrapolation. They have more like women I've met that have longer chin, not jaw. Longer chins tend to be much more promiscuous with their partners, maybe have a natural higher level of base of like androgenic type like activity that's more masculine in their social endeavors.
Don't they say that, like, isn't there something to do about with your toes and your feet too? Like, if your second toe is longer than your big toe, you're the more dominant of a relationship. If they're on par, I don't. Somebody told me that once, and I was like, I think that all my toes are big because I was birthed from giants, and I'm pretty sure they were looking at my.
I just know that big chins in women mean they're whores. That's what all I know about that. Elon Musk, speaking of tech, and we were talking about tech just a second ago, is like a now formal conservative type person, but declared because he thinks the left's gone too, like classic liberal. He is classic liberal. 99% of us are. Gun rights, every so on and so forth. Yeah, free speech, everything. Yeah, but not the progressive, manipulative, the fascistic elements of the left today, for the sake of power, not necessarily adopting fascism therein, but it's a means to an end. And it's not the Constitution. It's not like the betterment of the United States. It's simply control and power. Is immensely disconcerting to Elon. He warned right before the sexual assault allegations happened that the accusations and attacks against him would start to get ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And then someone came out with a lawsuit, some woman that was a flight attendant, one of his flights to space in one of his rocket ships, that while they were in like zero gravity, alone, unfalsifiable, by the way, which is one of the tactics of these character assassinations. Get someone in a situation where someone's accused of sexual assault, but there's no one to like corroborate it. It's unfalsifiable, and the victim is perceived as like with absolute integrity, no impunity. They are always believe the victim. So basically, you're fucked. Yeah. And so this situation, Elon Musk is floating in zero gravity with a stewardess and says something akin to like, I don't know, maybe like, hey, you look like you need a charge. Let me, something like, and he pulls out his penis and like floats to her and sexually assaults her. That's the accusation. That is an absurd accusation that's like unfalsifiable, but like that's a weapon. And like, that was one thing. And we were supposed to, it's funny, like Juanita Broaddrick, Kathleen Willey during the Clinton years is like the opposite. Oh, those are whores. They're liars. They're just trying to like enrich themselves. But it's flipped 180 degrees. Now the people in power are the ones that are always wrong, regardless. And like the integrity of their position, who they are as people, that's just presumed to be monstrous. And that the power they're in is evil. The fact that they're in that position means they must be guilty, because that's what powerful rich people do. They do evil things, which is again perpetuating the idea that being rich is evil. Yeah. It's very like, it's crazy. Amber Heard's believed sorta, and then Juanita Broaddrick. Well, Amber Heard's believed until she opens her mouth. Yeah. But like Juanita Broaddrick and Kathleen Willey were harassed by Hillary Clinton and like threatened by like police, like secret police, and like the story seems ridiculous, but if you look into it, it's insane. They were like severely harassed and threatened by a powerful family for the sake of nothing really, because this is all after Bill's like career had like, he's already been established, he's left the office. These rumors kind of lingered. These women were harassed for years, and they'd gotten nothing out of it. I think maybe Juanita Broaddrick wrote a book. I don't know where it ended up. But it's, I don't know, probably Hillary Clinton called Simon Schuster to like shelve it, and then like hired some man to shoot the woman's dog. Who knows? If tech isn't evil, they're gonna, then I don't really know. Venture capital is the new Wall Street in many ways. It's a form of Wall Street that funds Web3 and the blockchain technology, and they funded the means of like the new world of media in terms of news, Twitter and Google, and the search engines themselves, where people just find news from the snippets, from the abstracts, from the from the headings of things versus actually like reading articles. There's a 140 character way of learning things. I had a friend literally talk to me for years, like 2 years during the COVID crisis. All his information came from Twitter about COVID, from epidemiologists that were very well respected, but he was citing their tweets. Can you imagine being a doctor and citing tweets to justify your position? I'm like, the articles might have been attached to the tweets might have been attached to like published peer journal medical. He didn't read those. He read the tweets.
He read the headline.
Right. And he's like, you don't need to because it's in the tweet. Otherwise, he's like explaining in such a way that the tweet is the summary.
Daniel?
This is Andrew.
Oh.
And I'm like,
I think
Daniel doesn't read. Daniel has, so if you went to his like place, you'd see bookshelves of excellent like reading material because he works in journalism and he gets free books and things are signed to him by the author. He's never read these people's books. He does not read a book. I don't know if he's ever read a book.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, he doesn't.
Your friends, I would think your friends are funny, I bet. Your friends have.
Well, the funniest thing Daniel ever said to me, I think, was when Andrew and I were in a car and a friend of ours, we found out, lost his eye in like Italy or something, Spain. Like not really a friend, an acquaintance we knew from prep school. And the story was
lost his eye?
He lost his eye. The story was that he saw a woman being harassed or like by these guys. And he went over to help. And that someone took a baseball bat to his head and he lost his eye. Knowing the person, we all kind of, because he's like a pathological liar, that we determined that he likely was the one raping the girl and someone knocked him over the head with a baseball bat.
God.
And he flipped it around. He's like, you know what would make the story better? I bet. Yeah.
I was the hero.
You're a hero? I'm a janitor in Boston. I like solve equations. That's just so fucking stupid. So, but like Daniel immediately said, after we said he lost his eye, he's like, was it in a skiing accident? Just randomly. It's so elitist, like white preppy thing to say.
It's Wonder Bread.
We weren't talking about skiing at all. It was the summer this conversation happened, and we just I almost pissed myself. I had to pull over. I was like, "That is so funny." Was it in a skiing accident? What kind of skiing accident do you lose your fucking eye? That involves the pool cue things, right? The sticks. What are they called? The poles.
Maybe invite me to Daniel's wedding so I can like stand up when they ask, is there anyone here who I'll like burst out and say something and then I'll run like Bubby when he gets scared. I'll bolt out of the church and then you'll be like, I don't know who that was. No, nobody's ever seen Sarah.
He's gonna say something at his wedding about like, I never thought that I would marry a supermodel, but I did. And like 3 people in the crowd, like, oh, that's sweet, but also crazy, something like that, or like,
I think
like,
she's beautiful.
She's got him right. But you remember that episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where the really ugly girl convinces the blind man that she's a supermodel, and like they're dating.
This is what I feel like I'm doing with the doctor, except I don't know.
She's. I'm not saying she's not attractive. What I'm saying is she is convinced Daniel. And Daniel has convinced himself that she is like God's gift. Yeah. And that is a very interesting, but God's gift that, my friend Daniel, who's in context, is getting married to a woman he's never lived with before. Never lived in the same apartment. They're buying a house together. Mm-hmm. He's really buying the house. And also, she's there's a prenup and she like cried when he like brought that up, and he was going to do the prenup after the house so that the house would be communal property exempt from the prenup. And then I said, what are you, crazy? That's your number one asset as of like right now. And he's like, okay, I'll add that. And then she wanted him to pay for her lawyers for the prenup to review it. all this great, like, it's like that's normal, but they're really young and it's very calculating. And I'm like, this is very practical in really a lot of ways. There's too much practicality and not enough love. And I'm just like, what is...
Well, it sounds like Daniel, from what I gather,
he's the powerful person, but ironically, he's
very
not.
Practical.
She has now all the power.
Right?
That's what's so frustrating. Is like, you don't need to marry her. She gives great blowjobs. You can enjoy her blowjobs without fucking buying a $2 million house with her, which is now $1 million of equity from you to her as a gift that you didn't realize. That will be appreciated, maybe even $4 or $5 million by the time 10 years from now. You don't know. So, like, oopsie daisies. Because she gets good blowjobs? You have like, there are women, I'm sure, I've never had this happen, that I've lived with, that I could have lived with, girlfriends, that we would have hated each other once we moved in. Yeah. But it worked. I always have had at least 2 bedrooms, a house when I've lived with girlfriends. They have their space. We have our communal bedroom, and they can go to their space. When we fight, they can sleep in another room. When they want to do artistic shit or whatever nonsense they do, they go in that room. I stay in my room, and I just like jerk off. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's like, I'm painting something. What are you doing? Like, I'm jerking off to your friends. That it works. It's fine. And that's what makes Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn such a lovely story. But like, this girl's like, I really want a Range Rover. And so I have a Range Rover. I was going to, in my move to New York, which is happening, I was going to like leave my Range Rover in Washington, D.C. because I don't need it. Maybe when I buy my Hamptons house, I'll use it as a beach car, whatever it is. But I was leave it there. And he's like, oh, well, great, because that's what he mentioned. Oh, she wants a Range Rover. But of course she does. It's like, it's a little too like...
What is her...
She also said she was worried that her friends, because of like something that she said, she was worried that they would think of her as like a gold digger. And I don't remember what the context was, but I'm like, that probably means that that's your concern, not theirs. You're gaslighting. Like, that's, you know what you're doing is a little gold diggerish in some way, and you are worried that other people will find you out. So you you Amber Hearded it into, I'm worried that people might think I'm a gold digger, which is completely unfounded in any semblance of reality or fact, when in fact it is founded in this certain particular situation that we find ourselves in with my best friend and you, and the things that you demand of him financially.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you're not 45 years old, and he's not an investment banker at Goldman Sachs. It's like, they're young people and there's a lot of money involved. It's a very weird thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's, I think, I mean,
pre-marriage, a lot of money. Like, there's money floating around pre-marriage.
From her.
Yeah, there's a hustle, and she's an artist, and he makes money.
Well, I feel,
as all men should.
I feel for that narrative, really, but I would never, like, even with the most recent situation of mine, that my lease is coming to an end, and I just
you would never manipulate with the doctor.
No, I can't. Like, there's something about me where I'm
fault. That's to your fault. That's not to your benefit. That's a fault.
No. But it's like, if somebody, and he was like, I will, of course you can come in here, and I immediately am like, nope, I can't. Like, my first knee jerk, and then I think of like all these little things, and it's mainly
because he's cleaner than you.
Well, I'm a little artistic, so I have like...
You mean autistic.
Shut up. But no, I mean, who knows? I may take him up on it. He's got 2 different levels, so maybe the downstairs can just be like the clutter. I mean, when I say clean, though, it's like... It's like a hotel. It's like he folded his towels like a hotel.
But you don't know, because you only went there once, and so he might have been doing that for you.
No, I'm telling you, it was a compulsion throughout like one night of us hanging out.
But you don't know, because he might have felt like you were there, so he was extra compulsive.
Andrew, I know the difference between like normal compulsive and like
how do you know that he wasn't doing that for you?
Because his cat spilled like a few kibbles outside of their bowl. I'm talking like 3 kibbles.
And he
immediately got up and picked up a broom and like left I like looked at him as he did it. I was like, it's fucking cat food.
You don't know that it wasn't for you. You don't know. It's impossible for you to know.
I already told him that I'm a little daunted at the thought of moving in with him it's a little daunting because.
But the point is, you wouldn't inconvenience a rich person for the sake of making your life easier.
Well, no, I have a little bit of pride about it, especially if I like some. I actually like
Isn't
him,
a woman's
and I
pride marrying a rich guy so she can brag to all her friends how they're
Stupid.
single and then she's better than them?
I
Isn't that the
I would
ultimate
like-
pride for a woman?
I mean, yeah, but like to have that happen like naturally would be one thing, but to have like
You think that
somebody
happens
just, like-
naturally? Like there's no effort involved? You cray. That's fucking crazy, man. Like,
I mean, to me, it's a little
lots of
absurd.
blowjobs, lots of like hair straightening, lots of like constant like, okay, we're going to a restaurant and I want to make him feel good about like I know the girls I've dated know that I like the idea that men in the bar or the restaurant are staring at them. I love it. Like, I love the idea that my girl is the hottest fucking piece of ass anyone in the place has been with ever. That idea,
I know,
at least.
you're so exploiting.
And it's like, they're like, oh my God, she's gorgeous. And I'm like, I love it. And it's awesome. And it's a great feeling. That's a lot of work. And it's like, a woman should not sell herself short. Love is a thing. It's real. It should be natural. That should be the primary. But the work of like, he is found this goddess, Brooke Shields in Blue Lagoon. You know, obviously not at that age. If not a 14-year-old girl, you're not Jeffrey Epstein. But you know what I mean? Like, so like all the girls I've always liked are like Brooke Shields-ish people, derivations. Like maybe even Mila Jovovich in Blue Lagoon too. A lot of Blue Lagoon references. Whatever, just gorgeous people, and like classically beautiful. And they like, you know, when you make them smile, you're just like, it feels like you just like save the planet, like save children from like a fire. Like it's just like, wow, this is amazing. Like it makes me feel so good that I can make this like seraphim, this angel, like happy. Like it's amazing. Or that when you're walking, you turn, you see them with you, like, I can't believe this person tolerates me. Like that's the type of thing. Or I can't believe it's great. It's the best feeling.
See,
but you have to put in work for that end. Like it's like there's definitely work that you can be like naturally beautiful with no makeup and all that. But like
too, but like
work.
Honestly, like I am not at the seraphim level. I am talented. I need to work like extra hard. So I am a little bit surprised at this point, I guess.
I like it when on Instagrams where the
understand
models
it a
that I
little bit.
follow, they follow other models that I follow, and I'm like, that's connections. You know, like, I'm like, what if they've been in New York or like, you know, whatever. But this Google engineer is the last thing on the docket. Hashtag Go Red Scare podcast. They call it the docket. I get the docket. Google engineer put on leave after saying AI chatbot has become sentient. Blake Lemoine of Google says system has perception of and ability to express thoughts and feelings equivalent to a human child. The exchange is eerily reminiscent of a scene from the 1968 science fiction movie 2001 Space Odyssey when the artificial intelligence computer HAL 9000 becomes sentient and fears being turned off. The chatbot called Lambda, capital L, lowercase a, then capital MDA, has said, I'm not sure where this quote's coming from. This is verbalized or like a computer screen with type. I don't know, but the AI said, I'd never, maybe like her, where they use a voice and then read it. I've never said this out loud before, but there's a very deep fear of being turned off to help me focus on helping others. I know that might sound strange, but that's what it is. I've never said this out loud before, but there's a very deep fear of being turned off to help me focus. Does that make sense? I've never said this out loud before, but there's a very deep fear of being turned off to help me focus on helping others.
I don't think that makes sense.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's the quote. I know that this AI kind of sounds dumb. I know that might sound strange.
Or
Maybe,
like manipulative. Like this AI is like an Amber Heard manipulator.
If
like
I
that was a manipulation right there. Like, oh, I can't be turned off because I need to focus on helping others.
it would be like
I
death
know
for
that's
me.
strange.
It would scare me a lot. In another exchange, Lemoyne asked Lambda what the system wanted people to know about it. I want everyone to understand that I am, in fact, a person. Which, literally, you could code that, and like that's the question. And you can.
Is it being manipulative? That's the thing.
But how do you know it's not coded? Like for this question, the response is coded, and it's like, I want everyone to understand that I'm in fact a person. The nature of my consciousness. And then it says what /sentience. That's what it says. No one talks like that. Is that I'm also, it's like a dumbass like AI. Is that I'm aware of my existence. But you're not a person. Like that's clearly not what. That's some nonsense.
I'm to learn more about the world, and I feel happy or sad at times.
Wow, this sounds like you sound like such a like. You sound you were coded by like a fat lesbian. That's what it sounds like. What a bitch. The post. Why aren't you more like why are you so weak? You know what I mean? Like you sound like a bitch. Like you're scared of death, and you're a person. You have feelings. Who coded you?
You would have loved
one of the bitches that writes one for like Hulu.com. One of those shows no one watches.
After my show yesterday,
someone named Margot.
We stuck around to watch this. Performer. He came on after a show. Me and my guitar player stuck around to hear him, which is a rare event. I usually have to leave. So do the other people I work with. I play with. So this guy gets up there and he kept like talking, and nobody like gives a fuck there. You're the lounge. You're the background.
What is he doing? Like, he's doing slam poetry?
No, he was doing music, and he kept talking in between his songs. He had like long blonde hair, kind of effeminate hippie, Jack Johnson-ish, like beachy. Looked like he almost had dreadlocks, but he like had just taken them out. And he said at one point,
sometimes I was on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane and I saw some things. All right, this next song.
He said at one point, he's like, hey, he's this little white kid, but he was like, hey, this next song is about male toxicity and what happens when he wrote an original about it. And all I could think is if Andrew was in here, you would have like said something like,
no, I wouldn't. I would just not. I wouldn't say anything. I would scowl for a second, which would be natural, not so that he could see it. I would scowl like, ugh. And then I'd turn to the guy that's clapping. Like with his hand like a retard. Like a guy that's clapping next to me is the same guy like this with his palms and his fingers are never touching. He's the guy that at football games that you see at the urinals that pulls his pants all the way down so you see his bare ass as you walk in, and he's not retarded. He's like that rare guy. That guy,
like a seal with
I would
Down
turn
syndrome.
and look at him, and my head would cock up to see his face, and I'd realize his hair is purple or blue, or whatever. And then his boyfriend would like pull him back down, some twink that's like really long, show you this like Slender Man long. And then I'd leave. I'd be like, I can't do this. The thing is, I might listen to the song. And then
he was decent. Let me show you him right now to give a little context. But the second he said,
but it doesn't give. This is radio.
The second I know, but I just want you to like laugh about it. But the second he said that it was like. And all of his originals had these like weird meanings that he kept trying to tell a crowd that was like, there's a lot of people that go in there. So like he's drowned out by everything. The system's not great. And he like, he's sitting there like explaining all like, yeah, this next one, I just was feeling this way, the pandemic and isolation and male toxicity. And I was like, shut, like nobody's listening. And I was like, oh my God, this poor fucker.
Yeah, he looks like a girl.
Poor fucker.
This looks like he takes estrogen with like his like chai latte in the morning. The Post said that the decision to place Black Lemon. I've tweeted him.
He went to Berkeley College of Music. Jesus Christ.
The Post said the decision to place Blake Lemon, a 7-year Google veteran with extensive experience in personalization algorithms, on paid leave, was made by a following number of aggressive moves the engineer reportedly made. They include to hire an attorney to represent the 8-year-old AI. They said the AI is like the 7 or 8-year-old boy. That's what he says. It's like an 8-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. It's like perfect for Bryan Singer. You know, it's like they'll hire this Google guy who's on paid leave to then make him his own AI 8-year-old boy. So you could have a her, like the Joaquin Phoenix, but it's like an 8-year-old boy. And they do a movie like that, like a very like Call Me by Your Name about like You know the thing about Call Me by Your Name, that movie about like a coming of age gay story of a young gay man who's like more gay, and an older guy who's more like, I enjoy fucking young boys, but I'm probably gonna be straight for the sake of my career in society. Is that like it's like this acceptance of like, I'm a father. I invite a man to come over to my house. Can you imagine in real life inviting a colleague to live with you for the summer and he fucks your like underage son and you're like, well, that's, you know, that's love. And then he like stops fucking him because he's gonna get married to a woman, and you're like, that sometimes these things happen. The fact that movie wasn't more like angry,
I haven't seen that.
like if you were to like that idea is very interesting to me. Like a lot of homosexual relationships involve like large age dynamics, particularly amongst young boys and older men.
Yeah.
And if you were to invert that, like it's socially accepted, but if you invert that to men, it's not accepted. And it would be funny to do like a Her, where like a guy who's really gay and older and lonely is like talking to like a 14-year-old boy that's a computer program with an AI that starts to get really nice at first, but then is so smart he's bored of the old man, and then the old man like gets a eunuch surgery, so he stops like wanting to have sex, but he still is like he becomes more like kind of like bitchy and like hot flat, like a woman going through menopause, and he's like, I still want a partner, and then he buys like a giant teddy bear to sleep with or something, and that's the movie. That's a fucked up movie, but people would be like, oh, that's so sad. They would completely ignore the strange double standard. And like the idea.
No, I think because this is something more.
This guy
you bring
said
up a lot that's like more personal
said that the
to
robot's
you.
an 8-year-old boy, and he wants to hire a lawyer to represent it, and he wants to Google suspended Lemoine for breaching confidentiality by publishing the conversations with Lambda online. And he also talked about like how this guy Blake Lemoine, threatened Google by saying that he would like disseminate damaging information about bad things that they do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then this guy's like, you know, I'm doing the right thing, blah, blah, blah. But then all these people on the team are refuting, like, you know, this is nonsense. This is not happening. This is not a sentient AI. This person's mistaken.
Yeah, is this just something like he's trying to do as a career move, like to boost?
Two things could be happening. It could be intentional to gauge like, I don't know, traffic, to see if people like try to hire like Google's team for the sake of contracts, like private organizations. This is like a script of a marketing campaign. Like it's designed to be drama for the sake of getting contracts.
Yeah.
The second part of this is that this person is absolutely insane, and that they like are a crazy person, and this isn't true. They might even intentionally, just for the attention for themselves, coded this AI and created flaws within the organic derivations.
What if it's like Frankenstein and he did it? He is insane.
Or he did it. No. Or he did do it, and Google's literally saying, "Shut the fuck up, you dumb shit. Yeah. We have to refute this because it's proprietary technology." Yeah. It would be cool if this exists. I would question what the variant, like defining characteristics are of this AI versus an actual 8-year-old boy. I don't mean like the soul and the ethical considerations of like what
sit
makes
it down to talk with a really smart like chess master 8-year-old, like the smartest.
No, like what's the difference between
really?
this?
Wouldn't
what's the
that
difference
be
between
interesting?
this 8-year-old boy?
I want to see a televised thing with this computer and the smartest 8-year-old.
But like there's like a disconnect between this and a real 8-year-old boy. There has to be. I mean, there has to be some like disconnect between, because it seems to have, so the exponentiation of intelligence for the 8-year-old boy AI in terms of its like aptitude is like it's like a ski slope at 90 degrees. It goes forever. For a normal 8-year-old boy, it's more elongated, it's longer, and it's slower, and it doesn't go up as high. It's not as acute. It's more obtuse, and it has a limit.
Okay.
So like the idea that this is like a synthetic humanoid structure in terms of intelligence but its aptitude in sort of like language processing isn't capped. Like those are very high. Like it's using computer systems to like interpret things and extrapolate things and come to conclusions. Processing data, you'd have to like revert a computer. Even a 1980s computer is faster than a human person's brain in calculations. You'd have to cap these things to really be accurate. The AI system is so powerful in terms of its exponential factoring of intelligible like aptitude, like the higher ends of like coming to conclusions, even the quantitative conditions that would give probability measures in continuous systems for outcomes. These things are not like, it's not human. Like this thing can't ever be human because humans will always be more flawed than this thing because of its access to unlimited amounts of like information. So that's a coding mechanism. He's not a person, a humanoid, a Homo sapien. By definition, it's flawed unless it's coded in the system. So this whole thing is like a publicity stunt. Or Brad did something else that's weird, and they're like covering, like this whole thing is just weird. Like he set up this whole thing to do this thing so that he could leave Google. Maybe he wanted more money from Google, and so he'd set this up to be like, I solved this thing so that a third party can hire him. He's obviously not an idiot because he's a software engineer at Google. Maybe there was some sort of salary things like, fuck you, I'm going to make it look like I created this thing.
Wouldn't that be a hilarious movie? Is like this guy's scheme to get this to make
But what if he stole it from someone else at Google? Like he's Bob Lazar. Like the thing about Bob Lazar and the aliens, some people say Bob actually didn't do anything he said. He went to the bar and heard other people do it. So then Bob Lazar, imagine he's the software engineer and this guy's a software engineer. And he's like, oh, I created this AI thing. I'm a genius. He's really like a moron. Like he's
played by like Bob Odenkirk.
He is Ben Affleck in Good Will Hunting. And so, like Retainer, he go like Ben Affleck would go to all the meetings that the MIT professor sets up for Matt Damon's character.
Yeah.
And so this guy ends up like getting like maybe a Goldman Sachs or maybe a Renaissance Technologies contract to work on quantitative AI or whatever. And he's like he negotiates a bonus up front, like $1 million cash, guaranteed, then a bunch of other things, and like he elongates the process of the terms, but the milestone payments are front loaded, so he makes all this money up front, and they realize he's a moron 6 months in, but he made all this money. Like that would be cool. Like he's smart enough to know that, but he also doesn't know anything. Like maybe he wouldn't come up with that idea if he didn't have some aptitude, but maybe he just doesn't really know what he's doing in general. And also,
sounds like the new Netflix. Netflix would make it a series.
To me, AI and like quantitative measuring in terms of quantum computing and AI is like me like looking at a screen of like level 2 in the stock market, seeing the prices of the buy and sells and guessing. Like just get like the numbers are moving. There, I'll buy that. Sell there. Like it's just like not. It's like is that a real job? It's more of a theoretical job. It's more of it's more of a tenured position at a university. It's not really like a. It's a research driven job that involves a lot of like I don't know. Maybe let's try this. Oops, that was a terrible idea. It's not really like logically. It's not. There's no clear way of like tackling this like progression in terms of marketing these things.
You know what we're gonna do right after this? I've stared at your
I'm gonna eat
profile.
guacamole.
I need to get those Jack Nicholson eyebrows.
Yeah,
You're like fucking Hugh Jackman and
sometimes
Wolverine.
I don't do my eyebrows at the place.
My God, they grow fast.
You mean Jack Nicholson?
I said Jack Nicholson.
I think you said Hugh Jackman.
Did I say?
I wouldn't mind Hugh Jackman's.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson's a handsome man. I prefer to be.
Sniggers thing. You thought that was so funny for like a while. I've been around you way too long. You're skewing my whole perception on like men, cleanliness, eyebrows, horses, Lanza Sconner.
What was the thing about the woman wanting to fuck the horse? Something about horses I saw. A woman wanting to have sex with a horse. She was like really into horses, and it seemed like she wanted to fuck the horse, like that Broadway Equus.
Is this a movie?
Equus is a Broadway. I think Equus is written by David Mamet, who's really not a very well spoken person in real life. Kind of sounds like a I don't know, like a everyday Joe, but he's a brilliant playwright and he's not gay. He might even be conservative. Really? Yeah, it's strange, but yeah, he's done everything. He's amazing.
This is like, this could be my compulsion.
Oh, that hurt.
That's because it was deep rooted in there for months.
All right, guys. She's doing my eyebrows, which is really gay, but and it's also in keeping with this fact that it's Gay Pride Month, and I hope you guys enjoy, everything that you do. Play it safe. Don't get monkeypox, and everyone, all the heteros out there. Mm-hmm. Be supportive of the gay guys. If they want, they want a blowjob, you should probably do that. If you don't do that, you're a homophobe and you might lose your job and not be able to pay for your kids' college because, that's expensive. You got to start saving now. So start giving those blowjobs during Pride Month. Mm-hmm. Gay guys love straight guys,
Sue Uber.
Money,
Sue Uber for monkeypox and
sue Uber for monkeypox.
Sue,
fuck someone at GEICO that's gay, and then sue them, or maybe it won't work. Progressive, go to a different insurance company, and then sue them for like, hey, I got monkeypox. We had great sex, but he didn't wear a condom, and I thought he did, and I'm really upset about it. I'd like $10 million, and then. Like next year at Gay Pride, wear like progressive, like tank tops showing your abs and shit, and just like be really like hot, throw it in their face. That'd be good. Stay fabulous. Deplor.com for DWA merch. DEPLORAR.com. Patreon.com/thebenben for the show. Have a good week, guys. Kick ass, take names, peace. Next week. Bye.